A fighting fury, we're from Tigerland. In any weather you will see us with a grin, risking head and skin. If we're behind, then never mind, we'll fight and win, for we're from Tigerland. We never weaken until the final siren's gone.
It's grand final eve, folks, and I thought we'd just do a quick live just to catch up and chat. And I've got a couple of games I want to play because it's the games I didn't get to play on the Wednesday night show because we just didn't get time enough to do it. So I thought I would roll them out tonight and just have a bit of fun. But I hope everyone's doing well. Obviously, very, very good time of year, grand final week. I know we're not in it this year, but it's always nice to see the big occasion that is the grand final. And look, I was down at the grand final live site today. It was really, really good. Lots of activations, lots of fun activities. The AFL, for all the shit and stuff they cop for a whole range of things, they actually do that really, really well. The grand final site was good. It's definitely evolved and expanded over the years. So we got there just a bit after 1 o'clock, I reckon. So by the time we'd got there, the parade and all that kind of stuff had finished. So there's quite a lot more people leaving, which I thought was a good time. And yeah, they had plenty of activities to do, kicking the footy at obstacle courses, jumping over stuff. There was dodgem cars with different team coloured stuff. And lots of freebies, giving out monster footballs as per the one behind me. It was good. It was good. So it was a good day. And I know it's obviously finished tomorrow, but in future years, if anyone does have the chance to get down to the live site, it doesn't really matter if your team's playing in it or not. There's people there from all different teams just to have fun and enjoy football. So it is a pretty cool day to take family to if you've got kids and whatnot. So definitely keep it in mind. If you're wanting to do something next year around grand final time. But hopefully, well, maybe not next year, but hopefully sometime soon it'll be us in the grand final. There were quite a few Richmond people there, though, it must be said. Which was good. It was good to see some yellow and black out there in force. The one thing they did, and I can't remember if they did this in our years, they had an open training session on the MCG, but I think it was for Brisbane. I'm guessing because of them being an interstate team, it probably worked a bit better. I don't know if Geelong had a scheduled training session on the ground either. I don't recall us doing that. Unless I missed, we had it at Punt Road, I suppose, didn't we? We didn't do it on the G. Maybe next time that they better serve doing it at the G, because I remember the one at Punt Road was jam packed. So maybe that's something. Maybe the AFL have changed rules to allow the teams to do it on the G potentially, or maybe our preference was Punt Road. But it was Geelong did have one. Okay, I only just saw the signs for Brisbane. We went in for the Brisbane one, had a bit of a look, and they were pumping some tunes and things like that. There's a shitload of people there. Brisbane have got some pretty good support and representation down here, so it's going to be interesting to see what type of split the crowd is. It's always the one thing that bothers me is the crowd of the grand final. It feels like there's too many neutrals. I've always felt like the prelim week is the genuine football final, if that makes sense, because it's very tribal. But I've always just felt the split of tickets is not entirely accurate for grand finals, but I'm sure that is a discussion for another time. But welcome to everybody in chat. That's enough of me talking. Hawk Team, welcome. Noel, we met Taranto. Well, Taranto's actually going to be at the live site tomorrow, I believe. On which one was it? There's a Rebel Sport goal kicking competition. It does say he'll be there. Was it between 10 and 11, maybe something like that? So if anyone's down there, I'm not sure why any of us would be down there, but he will be there. Ruck, how are you, mate? Hope you're feeling better with the asthma. Hopefully it's all going well. Damien, welcome. Dave, welcome. Yeah, less corporates at prelims. That's right. Yeah, it's a bit annoying. It's a bit annoying. It just takes away from it, doesn't it? Look, I've been to one non-Richmond grand final. Never again. Never again. And it was just because they had nowhere else to give the tickets off to, and we didn't know anyone that went for that club, so I went along. But it's just not the same. It just doesn't feel right. Just doesn't feel right. Any news if Rosa picks what club he wants to go to? I don't think anything official's come out yet. I'm actually a little bit surprised that it hasn't, given that their season's finished, and I would assume they've done or are in the middle of their exit interviews. But keep hearing mixed reports on him. I mean, someone reached out and mentioned that they felt, from what they had heard, that he was really close to committing to Richmond. Then Sydney maybe came back with a big counter offer that's making him think twice. So I don't know. It sounds like it's still 50-50. Who knows, though? I guess we'll find out in a week or two. We'll see how it's all going. Hey, how are you, mates? Forgot what a prelim was. Apparently, it's a game deep into finals. It is. It's about the second last week of finals. I know you'll be back there one day, mate. You'll be back there one day. I know Essendon copped their fair bit of shit about finals, but you're building. You're going to have a shitload of picks, as we spoke about last night. It was a good chat. I actually just checked my email. The audio link hadn't come through. I'm not sure if I was looking in the right spot or not, mate. But yes, for those who don't know, we're on a pod last night with Lunchtime Catch-Up Podcast, and Jep, who's a West Coast supporter, and we were discussing the mock draft. And it was interesting to have an Essendon, a Richmond, and a West Coast view. It sounds like a poor Bard dad joke, doesn't it? But it was good to get all different sides of view, and it just sounds like we're all going after the same player. So it is up on the Lunchtime Catch-Up Podcast on their Patreon at the moment, and it will get released next week to the broader community, so you can check it all out then, which would be awesome. But it was very interesting. I think that would be the case too, Hoops. I reckon that's bang on. I know this comes from a completely biased point of view, but that GWS prelim was pretty electric, not going to lie. It was very good. It's a pretty tight contest tomorrow, Rob, I reckon, with the 100-metre sprint. Morris will be definitely within a chance, but the other runners in that race are pretty nippy. Murphy Reid will go all right in there. I'm not sure what Harry Garsight's doing in there. I've got nothing against Harry. I think he's a great guy. I just don't know how they kind of landed on that. But hopefully they all start from scratch. The one thing that's always pissed me off about the 100-metre sprint at halftime is how they have it with the staggered starts. Like, just start everyone from the start, and just whoever's the quickest wins. Don't worry about handicaps and stuff like that. I've never quite understood. Jason, honestly, that Dion Prestia one, for I reckon a good 3 days, I thought that was a joke when I saw that pop up. Like, you're checking the date to make sure it's not April Fool's and stuff like that. It was one of the most remarkable selections I've ever seen. In some ways, I felt like we were trolling everybody just because, like, that was a year he had some serious soft tissue injuries, and we rolled him out for the grand final sprint. It was quite extraordinary. I would love to know what the discussion was like behind closed doors and how they arrived at that and what the thought process was. It was something else. It was something else. So that's right. That's right. We need we need some West Coast players out there that he can run down. Yeah, McCreary's quick. Like, all the players in there are actually quite quick. It should be quite a good race, actually. Yeah, there was. I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, there was. There was probably a scenario put forward that I don't think I've covered off on any of my videos, a possible scenario. And I think if the scenario mentioned was to eventuate, it would make us have to reconsider anything and everything that we would do with pick 3 and 4. So and it's just something I didn't think was maybe on the cards or possible, but it was really interesting. It was really interesting. But obviously there's been, I put a video out today with Cal Toomey's his power rankings and just talking about them, and Xavier Taylor is probably the new name that we're linked to, or having maybe people are sort of aligning us to him as a bit of a Nick Vlastuin replacement, and that's drawn a little bit of comments from either side of the fence, which is interesting. Some people saying we've already got too many defenders, which I can sort of understand for the now, but I think the Xavier Taylor topic would be, if you're thinking about 3 or 4 years ahead, we're not going to have Broad, we're not going to have Vlastuin, we're not going to have Short. But then I guess it still comes down to, how do you play Bolter, Miller, Gibcus, Trainer, Xavier Taylor, Banks, Brown in the one back line. And I'm still not sure whether we can fit all of those tools in there anyway. But I feel like if we're linked to Xavier Taylor, it's probably more to do with replacing Vlastuin, and Trainer would be maybe like the Broad replacement. So the only reason why I can see us doing it, maybe there's not an equivalent or as good type in that position in the next draft or the next 2 drafts. So maybe they identified him as the best of that particular position, so they're better to do that now. Whereas midfielders are always there at the top end of every draft, really. So there's so many options. And I really don't think there's too many right or wrong variations of what we can do here. So hopefully, look, there's going to be disappointed people. There's going to be happy people. I think universally, if we take Roby, everyone will be happy. That seems to be the bottom line. But yeah, we'll have to see how we go on that one. Watched the round one today. Oh, did you? Nice. The comeback was good, Ash. The comeback was good. Meatballs running the sprint was legendary. It was. I did see this one widescreen puts on, it might have been the trade or the draft thread on Big Footy. If we traded 3 and 4 to Essendon for 5, 6, and 7, who would you want to pick? I haven't plugged this into the points calculator. I have a funny feeling that it would be not doable because I think it would be too heavily skewed towards us. I don't think Essendon would do this. I might be wrong though. Scoot, if you're there, let us know. Would you do that? Would you do that kind of trade? But the fundamental problem I have with that trade is if we were to do that, I think Roby would be gone by the time it got to 5. And I think if you have 5, 6, and 7, I think you'd want Roby if you were able to. But if I had a free crack at picking whoever I wanted at those picks, I mean, trying to be realistic at the same time. If you had those ones, that's where you could include a grill, right? That's where you could go, if you were able to, a Roby, a Cumming, and a grill, that would be not a bad haul at 5, 6, and 7. I think you'd be pretty happy with that. Xavier Taylor could work his way in there as well. But you can definitely start to get a bit more creative if you've got 3 picks in that area rather than the 2. I just don't know whether Essendon would do that trade. But I think there's going to be some shuffling for sure at the top end of the draft. It's going to be hectic. But it may not be in the trade week. It may be on draft night. So he still may not know anything until then, which would be crazy. 100% Rock. Like, I think I'd be safe to say that every Richmond supporter watching that was just holding their breath that entire sprint. We would have been comfortable if you walked that just to get through unscathed. It was quite astonishing. It'd be good to actually ask him one day what the process behind that. It just seems so out of place. It's not funny. Did the Storm get up, Greystoke? I haven't seen the scores at all. Desi, what's going on? Who do you think that's a good question. Who do you think will be our leading goal kicker next year? That's a really good question. So it's probably almost a two-part answer. I think for us to progress as a side, it would be optimal if it was Jonty Fall or Harry Armstrong. Now, Jonty Fall could have quite easily had 25 goals, maybe more this year with the amount of behinds he kicked and opportunities that he had. He had a couple out in the full as well. That should be a big focus for him next year or heading into next year is the conversion side. He can kick it a long way like we know. Armstrong's a good kick too. They just both probably weren't as accurate as we needed them to be. Utilize Fev while he's at the club, boys. Get Fev to teach how to goal kick because he was a genius at it. But I think if we're going to show some good progression in the front half of the ground, I don't want – look, as much as I love Tom Lynch, what he's done for the club and what he's still doing from the club from a protecting perspective, a leadership and teaching and guidance perspective for these young kids, it would be ideal for him to not be leading our goal kicking because it means that we're starting to function in a different way to work it out without him. And that's not trying to be disrespectful to him. It's just that we need the other kids to step up and to really take the mantle and take charge. Kind of like what Logan Morris has done this year for Brisbane. Maybe he can't, our boys can't do it at that level because our midfield probably isn't as, well, not probably, it isn't as classy as what Brisbane's is. But you'd like to see, it would be optimal for us if Jonty Fall or Harry Armstrong led the goal kicking. You'd want to see a Seth Campbell and a Sam Lawler getting like 20 or 25 each. I might be talking like numbers that could be through the roof here, but this is just what you'd love to see. Taj Houghton, you'd love to see 15 to 20 from. Ryan Mantle's always good for, 20 goals maybe. I don't know, but I guess in essence, we need our average score to sort of lift from that 40, 50 to 60 mark to start to hit 70s a bit more consistently, 60s and 70s. I know it's still low in the grand scheme of things, but we are still very inexperienced up front, so I don't want to heap too much expectation on the forwards at this point in time. But who else would everyone like to see as leading goal kicker? Maybe there's some different theories out there to mine. But yeah, hopefully it's a youngster. Essendon getting rid of Goldie and Drapers leaving screams they're getting CDT. CDT is honestly the hardest person to place in this draft. it feels like wherever he goes is going to cause a whole raft of ripple effects for other clubs. I mean, West Coast have the first lot of power with what they do with 1 and 2. Essendon might try some funky ideas and want to trade and do a whole heap of things. It's going to be interesting. And this is the beauty of it, right? I think last year it kind of felt like the draft in a lot of ways was somewhat set and known. Like it felt like it was going to fall into place relatively okay. This year, it's just wide open. And that's why there's so many draft videos out there. And it's not because I'm trying to pitch the new kid next week. It's just because there's so many variations. Like there's so many legitimate options on the table for everybody. Exactly to that point, exactly, Justin. It's getting to that stage. It really is not knowing who we're going to pay, who we're going to take. Xavier Taylor did play on the wing. He did. Speaking to someone who does do a lot of recruiting stuff, that defense will be where he does his best work at AFL level, in their view. I mean, we saw Trainer play on the wing as well. So the thing is, these kids are typically very versatile these days. They've often played multiple positions at some point in time in their career. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe he does that as a makeshift until Brody and Short and all that retire. If we were to get him, I don't know. But he's definitely a name that teams are talking about. Ruck, speaking of Bolter, great to see him back at the club early doing laps. Oh, is that right? I didn't see that. When was he back? Well, last couple of days. I did see some video footage today. I think it was the Richmond journey of Josh Smiley running around today, which was good. So it's good to see Smiley. I mean, it just screams professionalism that he wants to be there for round 1 and make a statement. You know, and people were joking he could be the most conditioned player in the AFL by the time preseason starts. But if that's what he's got to do to hit the ground running, then I'm all for it. I'm all for it. There you go. So lunchtimes, mock draft 1, Dersma Essendon, 2, Cooper Duff Tyler West Coast. So that, given you've written that, I'll say what we said. So the conversation in the pod that we did was surrounding Essendon maybe approaching West Coast to try and orchestrate a trade up to pick 1 because they're really keen on Dersma. And that was probably something I hadn't contemplated before. And I guess all along we were all sort of talking about if we go in with 3 and 4, that we'll probably definitely use 3 and maybe look to trade or split 4. But if this happens, if West Coast and Essendon do this and it leaves a few other players on the table, I think we may then go in and just take pick 3 and 4. So that was just, again, another variation that popped up that I hadn't put much consideration to, which was really interesting. Surely not thinking of drafting Taylor. I don't think he'll make it to mid-teens, to be honest, Ross. Yeah, I think Essendon would take him as well after our picks if we don't take him. And it's the same as Roby. There's going to be a lot of like calculated guesses being made by clubs and trying to work out who's doing who. There might be some bluffing going on. I'm also, when talking about Richmond players and who they're linked to, I'm also extremely mindful of the Bo Allen scenario from last year that Blair Hartley played everybody. And by everybody, I mean media, Richmond supporters, opposition clubs, the absolute works. He absolutely played us all like a fiddle, which is great. Thumbs up. So I am mindful of that when you start to hear names being connected to Richmond. But have heard from a few people that Roby, Taylor, Dobson's another one, to your point, Hoops, that we've had links to. Dobson's probably one that I think would be a reach too high at 3 or 4. He would probably be something that comes into play if we split. And I know there's a lot of people who against splits, a lot of people who are for splits. I just think it's even enough that you can do it. But the club knows best. Honestly, it's so much fun speculating and hypothesizing about all of this. Ultimately, though, it still stands by that whatever the club do, we'll absolutely back and trust their better judgment. Storm got up. Very good. Very good. Very good. All right, so to continue on your mocks, 3 Taylor. Yeah, so you had Taylor and Roby, and then West Coast getting Sharp, Cumming, Lindsay for Essendon. And I know we spoke about Sharp as well, but another one that's just so polarizing and where he can end up. It's crazy to think that he can go as high as 1 and as low as 10. And I reckon we knocked on the head why, though. It just seemed like that because his form line was so good, but it felt so long ago. I think people kind of forget how good this guy actually is. That's why when I did the video the other week on Sharp and Cumming, that's why I opted to put the highlights in there, just as a reminder as to how good Sharp actually is. It's too easy to get caught up in like criticizing foot skills and stuff like that. He can kick a ball fine, right? There's not too much difference between than some of those players at the top. But Jonty or Roby for leading goal kicker. Love your work, Hoops. I love that you've just thrown Roby straight in off the bat there. Very good. I know, Justin, he, like, whether people like Fev or not, whatever, but I like him personally. His goal kicking technique, despite the ball hold being slightly different to what you would typically see, was close to flawless. A phenomenal kick for goal, and it would defy logic unless there's some contractual reasons why it can't happen, why we wouldn't have our forwards pick his brain about technique and routine and things like that. It just makes so much sense. I know he's got work to do with the girls' team as well, but you would hope that we can utilize his brain and goal kicking stuff for the men's team too. Don't think we trade 4, 5, 6, 3, and 4. Yeah, I mean, because I think we can probably all agree that it seems very unlikely that Dersma will last past pick 2. If West Coast have got 1 and 2, can't see him getting past either of those 2 picks, and then that's why Essendon, if they're after him, will need to shift up into that spot. But it kind of feels like we're getting left out. Like everyone's going to trade around us, and we're going to be stuck in the middle trying to work out what to do with our picks. It'll be interesting. Or Grok's backing in Jonty. You'd love to see Jonty kick 25, 30 goals, wouldn't you? Is that low, though? Is 25 or 32 low? Am I selling him short? I'm trying not to be over-aggressive in my estimates. Possibly. Quite possibly. He was like, look, there's a chance it could be Lynch. I honestly think that if Lynch is our leading goal kicker this year, it will have not been a good year for us. I just can't see a world in where we've had a progressive year from what we just did if Lynch is leading the goal kicking. To me, it would mean that our younger key forwards haven't come on or had second year blues, which can happen and is okay. Like it's a real thing. Or our delivery's been shite, or we've had mass injuries. Because I really don't know how Lynch gets through 23 games next year. I do think we're going to have to be really strategic with how we play Tom Lynch next year. Same as Dion Prestia, and it's nothing against them. I love them. It's just they are important to us, and we do need to make sure they're on the park as often as possible. And I don't think we can achieve that by playing every single game. The fitness staff will know best, and I'll back them in. It just feels like from an age and a reoccurrence of injury in the past perspective that there's maybe a bit more method in maybe not playing them every game and then letting the young kids get to work a couple of times a year without them. Maybe, I don't know. But it will be interesting to see what we do in that space. It will be very interesting. Rooting for Brisbane because screw Geelong. I feel like a lot of Richmond supporters are going to be saying that. I really do think that Geelong will win tomorrow, to be honest. They're well rested. They're a very fit side. Their running capacity and running power is extraordinary. Both teams' third quarters were very, very good last week. I just hope for a close game. Yeah, CDT could be like Alex Dodson. I don't think Dodson played a senior game this year. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. He did look good in the reserves, though. And CDT, I've been on record. I just don't see how he fits into our side for the now, because we just drafted 3 forwards, Nankskin and Ruck. If he plays, it means someone like Fall or Armstrong's missing out, which sort of seems counterproductive. I mean, maybe the 5th spot on the bench makes it a bit more viable. I don't know. I don't know. I just think that history shows clubs don't need an A+ ruckman to win a flag. We've done it. We've won 3 without an A+ ruckman. Not disrespecting Nank, but he's been a great player for us, but he's definitely not a Max Gawn or a Tristan Sherry or anyone like that, is he? And we've managed to jag 3 flags. So it just sort of shows that you don't need that type of ruckman to do it, although it probably helps. But most goal assists next year. Most goal assists. I'll go Sam Lawler. His passing's exquisite. By foot, he will lace up quite a few players inside 50 who will then hopefully convert. So we'll go Sam Lawler. Ash, good shout. Javan Philippou. He's definitely one. I'll be watching his name with a lot of interest. I know I put a video out that if we get an extra pick somehow, that I wouldn't mind using on Harley Barker, and I do stand by that. If we couldn't get Harley Barker, I would be equally as happy to use it on Javan Philippou. The ceiling could just be really high, right, with what he could end up being. Athletically, very gifted, and I think as a collective, we can all agree we need good athletic traits and players, and he's got that in spades. The football stuff's been a little bit hit and miss, but he's also a bit newer to the game than other players as well. I think he would be worth having a crack at to see what happens there. What was Monday, Grock? Have you heard any more on Jacob Hopper and Tyler Young? So to clarify, I've seen a bit of stuff about the Hopper stuff. So all that sort of was, so Tiggs has always maintained that he is firmly believing Hopper's going to stay at the club, but the noise hadn't gone away that his name keeps being mentioned or is popped up. Now, I interpret that as managers obviously are paid to do a job, and part of that job, whether it's Jacob Hopper, whether it's Zach Merritt or anybody else, they will typically shop's probably not the right word, but they will float their players or their clients' name around to clubs to see if there's any interest, because they're always trying to make an extra big contract. They get their 10%, so on and so forth. So that's all I kind of think that's happened. But Tiggs has always said, and as Grock has just said too, that the feeling's always been that Hopper's going to stay. But I just think it's a case of a manager being a manager and doing his job, and then sort of people start to sort of speak about it. But Tiggs has never bought into it, and neither has many other people. The Tyler Young one, I'm still convinced he's leaving. I just think if he hasn't signed by now, typically that points to signing somewhere else. And I truthfully, I don't blame him. If the offer at West Coast, which is what seems to be leading the way, is a much better offer, if it's longer years, more money, he's got to look after himself. So I completely get it. And I honestly wouldn't begrudge him one bit if he did it. So I just don't think I don't think he'll stay. I hope to be wrong. I don't know anything extra in that space. That's just a personal opinion, but I hope to be wrong. Right now we have 2 picks in the draft, but 5 positions available. What happens with the other 3 picks? So what will happen, I think there'll be an upgrade of rookies or a rookie. We spoke about it the other day, and I've already forgotten who we have to upgrade. Who was it? Campbell Gray can stay there for another year. I'm not sure what the foul status is. Seth Campbell might be one that we have to upgrade if he's not already. But that's where you'll pick up another couple of spots. Louis Callaway will need a spot as well if we're getting him. Elnor we'd have to draft, or the preseason draft. But Harry Scott would be in the same kind of frame, I guess. I wouldn't be shocked if a club takes a punt on Harry Scott in the national draft just quietly, which will draw the moans of the Richmond faithful as we've missed out on another one. But it shit happens, really, if that happens. But we'll see how we go. Yeah, I think he's very close to being traded to Hawk Tim. It sucks. Like I said, would love to keep him, truthfully, but can't begrudge the guy for making payday when he's got the chance to. Grock, if Essendon trade for pick 1 and it goes Dersmer at 1, CDT at 2, we should be going Sharp and Roby. And that's what I mean. Like, if that trade does happen, I think we then have to abort mission on splitting pick 4 and go for 2 players like that. It just changes the whole landscape for me. And yeah, I think it does make it very, very interesting. Do you think we could try and get pick 19 from West Coast for Tyler Young and a future third? Could be some decent players like Holmes' younger brother. Look, pick 19 probably feels like overs in an open market, to be honest. So I definitely don't think we would get that and a future third. It'd be amazing if we could get 19. I think it's very doubtful unless we were maybe giving something back the other way. The only reason why I say that is I don't know how desperate West Coast are for a defender. I know the Bulldogs are desperate for a defender, and I kind of feel like they might be more willing to part ways with a better pick because they're in their window, but the big offer's not from West Coast. It's from the Bulldogs. It's from the Eagles. So I think we would be extraordinarily lucky to get pick 19 unless we were passing a future back the other way. If we can get pick 19, again, Harley Barker is someone I would use that pick on, or Philippou. I think that would be a really, really good selection. But Holmes' younger brother, if he can run like Holmes, like Max, should I say, let's take him. Justin, you don't feel like we will trade split our picks? I think it depends on what West Coast and Essendon do. It just depends on who's there. Essendon met with West Coast a week ago to chat about scenarios for trading. No one knows where West Coast are at, though. So you've got to be careful. Like Matt Clark's not got a great record of trading in recent times, which I know you know. So you might be able to pull the wool over their eyes. You could get away with one. But and that's the thing, like all these conversations have happened for so long, or like bubbled away for so long, and now it starts to get a bit more serious, doesn't it? Yeah, it's an interesting one, Hoops. Look, for a long time, I've felt the same way. No Sharp because they play like, well, not they, because he plays like Taranto and Hopper. But I sort of thought about it a little bit more, and I try to think about what does the Richmond in 3 and 4 and 5 years look like when maybe Taranto and Hopper aren't in the frame as much, and that's when someone like Sharp will have value. Genuine extractor, can do it on the outside as well, can go forward. The problem is, I guess, how do we use him in the early stages? But if you were able to fast forward 3 or 4 years, and Hopper and Taranto aren't there, and then you consider a midfield of Lawler, Smiley, Sharp, Houghton, Seth Campbell, whoever else, Kane McAuliffe, and whoever else we might draft along the way, it starts to look pretty nice. But it's how it works for the now, I guess, as well. Yeah, and some people are going to say it's a reach, I guess, Samuel. Some people will say it's worthwhile. There's so many varying opinions. I love it. I love that there's varying views on it. And that's the beauty of the draft. Like, no two mocks are very rarely the same, are they? Sharp's number one fan right there, DR. How we get Kellaway? Is he that good enough to use a future pick? So Kellaway is still an interesting one. Someone in chat will know the actual answer to this for me, but once it gets to a certain point in the draft order, somewhere around, is it pick 40 or 50, somewhere like that, that the points, you don't actually need a pick. We'll just need a list spot. And that's because of the discount that comes in that will eradicate the points needed to bid on to match a potential bid. You just won't need to. So we may just need a list spot. If someone bids on him in the 20s or 30s, the 20s seems unlikely. The 30s, I mean, it could happen. I've always felt that he could be somewhere in the 30s. I think he does a lot of things really well, maybe just nothing exceptionally well, and that might go against him, but he's a very, very consistent player. And, the club put an article up about him, so it feels like, if you read between the lines, that we are showing some commitment there, but there's been nothing official, which is interesting. Equally as interesting was Callaway's article with Cal Toomey, how he said he understands the business side of things and that it may not be right or to go to Richmond because of our pick scenario and whatnot, and he's just happy to go anywhere. So I actually found that really fascinating, but I do hope that we do get him. Lindsay does have a good left foot kick. My only question on Lindsay is I'm not completely sold on the defensive side of his game. And when I think about our team of this year and how easy teams were able to get through us because of our lack of two-way running and defensive efforts from different parts of the ground, that scares me a little bit with Lindsay. Offensively, good kick. Can he get shut down easily if he's tagged or got a bit of attention? That's another question mark. But when he's got the time and space, beautiful user. Agree thoroughly on that part. But yeah, a few different moving pieces on that one. Roby and Marsh. Yeah, Marsh is an interesting one. I think people seem to have cooled a bit on Marsh, haven't they, in recent times? Sharp will be first taken after Dersma and CDT. I feel that is kind of how it might play out too. I'd be happy if we had either CDT, Lindsay, Grill, Cumming, Hibbins, Hargreaves, Dovison, Taylor, and Roby. you could not be happy. I'm starting to get some question marks on the Lindsay front. CDT have already expressed my question marks, but out of your list there, if I had 2 picks and 2 picks only, I'd be going Cumming and Roby. That would be my 2 picks. I can understand the thought process for Taylor, and I just think Hibbins, Hargreaves, and Dovison would be a little bit further down the line as split picks, but I would definitely have them as strong considerations. And Jacob Farrow too, for that matter, if we do split pick in some way, shape or form. John Tier, is that right? 30 plus scoring shots. Or, I mean, imagine if we get 30 or 40 goals from him. Not that we can expect to kick a perfect conversion, but Paul, that would be the dream if Lynch has a Gunston type year. And I think I said this before, that when watching Gunston play this year, he plays exactly how I want Lynch to play. And I know there's a bit of a size difference, so it may not be plausible, but his lead up to the ball carrier, his movements in the 50 to lose his opponent, it was beautiful to watch, honestly. And it makes such a difference when you've got a player leading up at the ball carrier rather than kick on top of my head. And opposition can just sort of converge, kill the contest or take a mark, and it goes down the other end. So if we could adopt that method somehow, that would be lovely. That would be lovely. Yeah, Elnor's an interesting one. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I think a lot of clubs will look at Elnor. He had a good year, didn't he, in the VFL? Yeah, possibly, Dave. Possibly. Rest every interstate game. I mean, it probably makes the most sense, doesn't it? It's a tricky one. I get it, and I actually probably agree. But the only thing that came into my head then was, do you need, or is it more beneficial to have senior players with kids on interstate trips to sort of coach them and guide them through the interstate process versus being at home? I don't know. Or there might be enough other guys there to help them through that. But on the surface, I agree completely. Give any of Roby coming, Taylor? Yeah, Leray. Leray's interesting. I have Barker ahead of Leray. Yeah, it would be kind of good to try and secure a wingman. Oh, Rob Mills gone with McKelty, dark horse leading goal kicker. Not bad. Not bad. Do we think that McKelty's going to play as the proper third string forward or second string forward? Like, what's everyone's ideal forward setup personnel wise? Because if we're talking about McKelty, I mean, we know that Lynch is going to be locked in there no matter what. Is it McKelty and Fall? Is it McKelty and Armstrong? Because I don't think you can play Lynch, McKelty, Fall and Armstrong. That's way too tall. Unless you use one as the fifth player on the bench that are rotating through the forward line exclusively. Maybe we get somewhat creative. Set the kick 45 for Paul. Sign me up, Paul. Sign me up. I'll take that every day of the week. Ross has gone, what if it's Lynch 45, Fall 40, Armstrong 35? All right, okay. You've caught me on a technicality there, Ross. Fair enough. We'll take that scenario. Because in that scenario, as you cheekily and rightfully allude to, that we probably would have had a semi-decent year if Lynch has got 45 and Fall and Armstrong are thereabouts too. No, we'll take that scenario. That's okay. We'll absolutely take that. Well played. Well played, Ross. Colin, I don't think West Coast will get 1 and 2 if they get Starcevic and Robertson. Is Robertson in the picture as well now? Interesting. Well, the combo pick, from everything everyone keeps hearing, whether anyone agrees with it or not is probably totally different. But it does sound like it's almost all but certain going to be pick 2. And we've said this before. I think it's a way to circumvent them asking for a priority pick. But then the question becomes, to your earlier point, should it get diluted because of the Starcevic thing, or will West Coast just trade? Like if they get pick 19, or if they get a different compo pick at the end as part of their package, they'll just trade that to Brisbane for Starcevic, which won't impact pick 2. So I think whatever the outcome, there will be a way around not impacting pick 2, I think is the short answer. And no one will understand why. And that's the annoying and scary part. Dotson, okay, he did play 1 game. There we go, 8 disposals. He looks all right. He looked all right though. From the VFL stuff I saw, he looked okay. See, this is where I think the grading is an interesting topic, Samuel. I think for us he's an A grader, 110%, no question at all. What I'm saying is though, and you still may disagree, and that's okay too, in the open world concept of ranking all rucks against each other, I don't think he's an A. Compared to Max Gawn, compared to Tristan Xerri, who I think are the 2 premier ruckmen. Tim English would be another one. I don't think he's an A in that list, but in our list as Richmond Football Club, he is absolutely an A grader, 100%. So it's almost like there's 2 lists. Yeah, have heard that. Have heard that he did have a physical. I actually got a message from a Collingwood fan, a creator, asking about Jacob Blight. Yeah, he did have a medical there. Look, he'll get another crack. And like we sort of said for a little while, it's pretty obvious that the football side of things wasn't the reason why he got delisted. He couldn't play. We very clearly didn't want to play him for that last game that triggered the contract for a reason. And I don't think we'll ever know the true reason, but I think it feels relatively safe to assume there was a bit more to it than just the football. So Lawler for goal assist, yep, I'm with that. Followed by Taranto, maybe Jonty or Campbell. Wonder how Tash Houghton will fare in that. Yeah, this is a good shout, Greystoke. We did have Storm people spending time at Tigerland, absolutely. And you're right. Like when we did have that, I remember we were just tackling like animals. I think we've spoken about this before on the Monday night show. It feels like, whether it's deliberate or not, I'm a little bit unsure, that we've steered away from tackling being the main objective and rather going towards corralling players, which we did do a little bit with Dimmer, but we were very good at tackling too. Now, I don't know what's planned and what's not planned in that aspect, but what I don't like seeing is games where we only lay 30 or 40 tackles. I feel it's an effort thing. That's how it reads off the stat sheet, that it was a lack of effort. Like, if we haven't had the ball, why aren't we laying tackles and making it harder? Maybe it's because we're corralling. Grock has always had a very good point that our tackle count could be low because we, for whatever reason, give up a lot of uncontested marks across the ground. So if the opposition's taking 100 more marks than us and having 150 more uncontested possessions, then that's the same amount of times that we aren't able to tackle. So that's why the numbers can kind of look that way. But to your point, I would love to see us get back into some really firm and hard tackling. I think more important to that, we need to get better at not letting plays break our tackles. They're probably the ones that hurt. It's when we lay a tackle that doesn't stick because players think it's going to stick and they start sort of moving in a different direction in anticipation, and then the tackle breaks and they're out of position, and then the other team gets a quick counter attack. They're probably the ones that I think we need to stop. Oh, right. Bolter was Monday. Okay, good. Do you know, so you said he was doing running. Is it just like light work, or do we know any more about what he was doing there at all? Players that are not there yet but could be stars in 3 to 4 years: Philippou, Barker, Hargreaves, and Marsh. Agree. Hargreaves, like we spoke about, he's one of my favourites. Genuine X factor. The inconsistency is obviously a concern, but when you've got someone who can get 29 disposals, kick 4 or 5 goals, like that doesn't happen by mistake or by accident, right? That happens because they've got talent. It's just piecing it together consistently. And yeah, someone's going to get a good player with him. You just know it. He will be good instantly in a team that's going really well. Kind of like what Murphy Reid was like for Freo. I don't know how Hargreaves would go in a team like ours at the now when we're sort of really having to work hard. I feel like is he like a cream on top player maybe? I'm not sure. Maybe I've got the wrong read, but that's just the vibe I was getting. Yeah, South Australia got an awesome crop this year. Really, really good crop. And it makes sense because they shit on everyone in the champs. So it definitely checks out. Could we get it? Maybe for Young. Hope so. It sounds bad. Like, I don't want Young to leave, but if he does go, you want to get well compensated. We've got a pretty good relationship with West Coast. I know West Coast supporters aren't fond of Matt Clark and his trade deals, but you know, we'll see if we can pull a rabbit out of that. Why would Geelong deserve a priority pick? What else have we got? Callum Smith, Callaway, and Scott. Well, I don't know about the Latrell pick. I actually haven't caught too much about him, to be honest. I've heard he's had a couple of big games or interesting games, eye-catching games lately. I just don't know enough about him to sort of understand where he might fall in draft senses. I don't think it's a chance to be the preseason draft. Might be wrong. Might end up getting proved wrong and have egg in my face. I just think the being walked to the preseason draft is such a big threat and such a big action to take that it typically only happens when there's a lot of ill will and a lot of negativity or butting of heads trying to get something done. I don't see this as that scenario. I think for most clubs, there's a lot of goodwill. And I think that's how it will play out. I would be really shocked if it was walk to the preseason, because that, to me, that only happens when shit's gone south really bad and it's irreparable. And it's not, we're pushing you to one side, go and do your own thing type thing. I would be shocked, genuinely shocked, if it was walked to the preseason draft. I will bring up the game in a second, Hawk Team. Yes, I will. Where does Kel Toomey have his? I think he'll do that. I think he usually does it like really close to draft time. Like I'm talking maybe a week or 2 weeks out. The things he releases recently are all about power rankings, and definitely not to be confused with a mock draft. He gets very on edge on that. I do too. You don't want to get confused. Jacob, what's going on, mate? Honestly, a draft haul of Roby, Taylor, Grill, and Louis Kelly would be a good day. Can't disagree with that. Definitely can't disagree. Or they better not. They better bloody not bid on him. Yeah, agree, Grock, that Lindsay's defensive stuff is probably the big question mark. Offensively, uses it really well. But yeah, defensively, couple of questions. Oh, this is a tough one, Paul. Which father-son will be the best, Kellaway, Lees, or Daffy? I don't know. Callaway's had a super year this year. I really liked what he's done. He's been awesome for Sturt. And I'll actually be a little bit gutted if we don't get him, to be honest. Daffy's had a really good development year as well. So I think Daffy, when we're talking about Lees and Daffy's on the younger side of things for that particular draft year. So I feel like we might see him progress a bit more as the year gets on. But he's made some moves into the midfield as a goal-kicking midfielder. Doesn't mind getting in and under. Doesn't mind laying a tackle. Kicking could probably be neatened up a little bit and maybe some decision-making stuff. But he's obviously young and learning and working through all that anyway. He'll be a good sort, I reckon. And Jack Lees Lees has got a bit more composure about him. They've both got very good goal sense. And funnily enough, like we talk about small forwards and things like that, both of those guys could play in that role for us in the future. Although I'm actually really interested to see if Jack Lees goes back into the midfield in his right age year next year. He was playing midfield for Woodville in under 16s and did a really good job. Was very, very vocal, very much a leader in their midfield, and really stood out as one of their better players. And then this year in his underage year in the 18s was playing more half forward, which is generally how it works. You usually kind of go back to the pecking order because the other kids who are in their draft year get precedence, which is fine. So I'm kind of expecting / anticipating him to go back into the midfield. Good speed. I find he's had good vision and decision making. So their years are going to be fascinating to watch. I don't know which will be the best though. That's genuinely a tough question. But hopefully we get all three and we can work that out for ourselves in 2 or 3 years, I guess. CB, love Roby. I know. The bathrobes will be out in full force. Jesus. It'll be... CB will be excited. The players want in the draft. Could trade in the 2027 picks. 100% it is. Yep. I guess the problem is with the 2027 pick, Ash, I think teams might dodge those or be scared of those because of the Tassie impacts. They might not mean as much. It's a little bit of an unknown. Would we try and move it? I'm guessing most clubs will try and move those picks to form part of deals. I just don't know if other clubs on the receiving end will be wanting that pick in that year, which is interesting. This is a good point, Justin. I think Bruce will help monumentally with some of our goal kicking and forward craft. He's going to be a very good acquisition. Mark my words. He'll be very, very good. Dave, I hope you're right, mate. You believe our four-line will be a lot more functional and productive next year? It has to be. It just has to be. And I've said it before. I'm not expecting 110% improvement. If we can improve it by 10 or 15%, that will be huge and extremely noticeable if we can do that. They need to get to work and sort that out. And some of it comes back to the midfield too, to be honest. So there's a couple of things we need to sort. Or rational, you're after the Richmond in 2026 to emulate the 93 Bombers. The Tiger Cubs will be the new baby Bombers. Wouldn't that be something? Jesus, the collective football world will melt if that happens. Agree. And overall, Ruck ranks a B. As our Ruck, an A. And I love him. Reese, what's going on? Welcome. Does Ben Serpil have any culpability with all the injuries? Yeah, I saw Burgess go to Juventus. It's crazy. I don't think he does, because history and it's really hard. It's a really difficult one to answer, because there's other examples from other clubs this year where it didn't happen, but it's not that uncommon for first-year players to get injuries because of the workload difference and everything like that. But then we didn't see a Harvey Langford or a Murphy Reed get injured. I'm sure there's others that I've just forgotten, but it was super annoying. On the flip side, though, he was able to get a full year through pretty much with Tom Lynch, and Dion Presti had 13 games in a row, which I don't think any of us thought was possible. I know he missed the first part of the year. I think it's okay at the moment. I mean, I guess all eyes are going to be on it next year, though, aren't they? I mean, it's another year of conditioning and understanding their bodies. They're getting stronger and bigger and all that kind of stuff. So we'd want to avoid mass issues there again. But I don't know. What does everyone else think? Was Serpil's year a pass or a fail? What do you think? It's a good question, a very difficult question. Colin, Seth needs more midfield time. Agree. We need pace in there. Agree. So this draft has to be the players with pace and good foot skills. Yeah, I guess this is where it gets funny, because we all talk about pace and we're all correct, I think, when we mention it. But the pace, I think, can also already live within our list. So because of that, like when you talk about a Seth Campbell, a Tash Houghton, Kane McAuliffe, Morris Rioli, players like that, maybe that does allow us to go for a Sharp and a Roby instead, who maybe aren't blistering speed, but we promote the speed from within to offset it. I think our midfield woes is as simple to fix as if Taranto and Hopper start one in the square, one outside of the square, and Presti is maybe somewhere in or out as well, and it's a different blend of the other two players in there, I truly think that solves the issue. I think we'll see a noticeable difference. I really do think it's as simple as that. By just playing the players we've got in different positions, we'll solve it. But then, yeah, if we can add some speed, and that's why, for me, Sam Cummings like that kind of compromised in-between player who's got speed, he's got skill, can play midfield, can play forward, good goal sense, good mark. And, that's why I've really been drawn to his name, to be honest, because he's kind of a little bit in between. I'm not too sure, Hoops. I guess it'll come down to list spots first and foremost, but it's a good question, and we'll have to look into that. I really don't know, unless anyone else knows about it. A lot of people have some love for McKelty. Birdman, warming to Roby, could explode round one in front of 80,000 people. There could be a lot of crowd people who explode in round one if Roby runs out there and kicks four. It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because there's definitely a lot of love and appreciation for Roby, but I guess a lot of people at the same time are trying not to get too consumed and wrapped up in what seems like a small body of work. But in reality, he has played well for a long time. It's just become more noticeable because he's in a more prominent position now. It's fascinating. His draft testing will be interesting, assuming he can do it. Pardon me, with the collarbone. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Oh, there you go. Toomey does it the mock the week of the draft. I thought it was somewhere close to there. Yeah, so a good shout here. Tanner Armstrong plays for Trav Boak's team in the Futures game tomorrow before the grand final. Is he wearing number 4, is he? That's good. Yeah, everyone keep an eye out for Tanner. He's going to be a good player. I've had my eye on him last year. He was playing half back for Vic Country and taking a lot of the kickouts, and he just used it well. I actually feel like his kicking wasn't as damaging this year for the Bush Rangers as a midfielder, but I also think there's not too many times an underage player is heading the midfield of an under-18 side. I really don't know if that happens all that often, and I don't know whether that speaks more about him or the Bush Rangers, so keep that in mind. But he's been playing a pivotal role as an underager in an under-18s coach league team, which is quite impressive, to be honest. I do want to see his kicks become a bit more damaging next year. He can find the ball fine, and I'd love to see him just get on the outside a bit more and burst away from stoppages and get the ball moving forward. But finds it well enough, but I'd love to see him sort of clean up a bit more. Grock, you reckon it's going to go Lees, Kellaway, Daffy? Possibly. I think, I can see it. Why is there a little love for our small forwards? I see 5 young guns competing for 3 spots. I almost think we exclusively have to move Campbell up the ground. If we want our midfield to progress and not be one-paced, his work. So think of it this way: when you look at the amount of times that he went into the centre bounce, on a percentage point of view, he was winning more clearances in a percentage than what the other guys were who were full-time midfielders. So he's finding it easy enough. He was, more importantly, stopping the other team from breaking away and getting clearances. Steely Green had an okay year at AFL level. He did really well at VFL level. Morris is another one that I don't think Morris does well as a small forward. I think he does better up the ground too. And Jasper Alga, I think, will be a really, really good player. So I still don't know if we've got the small forward role fully locked in. I don't know. It does feel up in the air. It really does. But to Grock's point, Bruce working with Morris, Campbell, Lawler, Houghton, Clark, Mansell, Green, that could help elevate him. So I think we need to wait and see how that plays out too. AFL clubs will not hold on to good medical staff with the soft cap. Yeah, the soft cap's always contentious, isn't it? It's interesting that we've gone really heavy in the developmental side of things. It kind of makes sense, I guess. So we've got a couple of more developmental coaches and an extra line coach than we did last year. So it's going to be interesting to see, where the spend lies next year. On Serple this year was going to get some injuries based on workload plus changing plays. Running mechanics next year, they should be stronger. Fingers crossed. We would love it to play out that way. Hoop's mum met Nank, said he was so nice, but angry. I think that is extraordinarily accurate. He does seem like and I've heard from a lot of people that he's a very lovely person, and he always comes across that way, but he's just a beast on the field, and we love it. Yeah, you're right. We didn't really have... Benny Gale's probably a dominating ruckman, I reckon. There hasn't been too many others, has there? Pass for Serple. Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? You want to see some improvement, though. You want to see some improvement. All right, let's try this go. I've got a game that we'll play because, like I said, this was one that we were going to play on the Wednesday night show that I didn't get a chance to because we just ran out of time, which is fine. So behind the tiles, I'm going to remove a tile at a time slowly, and you're going to try and work out what the iconic moment is. It's an iconic moment behind the tiles, not necessarily Richmond related, but it's an iconic moment. So Marek was a Warrior. First tile removed. Can anyone guess the iconic moment based on just that tile being removed? It would be an extraordinary effort. If there's one person who's going to do it, it's Grock. But we'll see how we go. Brett Ottens was good too. I think we'll get a ruckman in a trade. Yep, I definitely do. All right, I'll remove another tile. Sponsored by 3. It's an iconic moment is behind the tiles. Oh, Birdman, bang. Birdman has nailed it. James Hurd hugging the person in the crowd after kicking the goal. Well done. Gee, that's a good get. What gave it away? Was it the Essendon, I suppose, wear that sort of led you to believe that one? Very good. Well played. All right, next one. I've got to try and remember which tiles I can remove that doesn't give it away quickly. Oh, there you go. Bottom corner. It was the 3. I wasn't sure whether people would connect 3 being the sponsor. That's a long time ago. I used to have a 3 network phone. There you go. I'll go the top square. Not Nick Davis. Drew. Bang. Leo Barry. Taking the mark. 3 was a mobile company, Justin. Geez, I'm showing my age, and so was Birdman. There you go. Leo Barry taking the mark. What a grand final. A sort of set of grand finals that was. It was very good. If it wasn't one, it was the other. Exactly right. All right, number 3. Shit, which one was this one? I should have written myself a note, shouldn't I? There you go. I'll go top corner. I thought it was Barry Hall having a punch on. Shit. Shouldn't have revealed that one. Well, that'll just about solve it. Yep. Zebra Dom Sheed. Last kick, 2018. Grand final. What a moment. Apologies to any Pie supporters. Sorry, not sorry. We'll move that one as well. Was that just not one of the most amazing kicks that you could see go through? Which one was this one? Suck that Pies. I'm trying to remember what this. Oh no, okay. So for anyone who was watching our Monday night lives with Pommy, Fiona, and Marnie for the final series, this is the one that I was going to do on the Wednesday night that probably would have got me hurt by Fiona. So it's yeah. It is Essendon related, Jacob. It is Essendon related. Never apologise for Justin. Yeah, Grocker, it's merit. So I was going to troll Fiona pretty badly, but I could see she was a bit still shitty at the situation, and I had him in a Hawks Guernsey. So I was going to reveal that. AI's kind of done his face a bit dirty there, though. I'm not sure they've nailed that completely, but yeah, I was going to roll that one after that had happened, but I thought better of that gag and thought I better not do that. Okay, now this one I need to see. I need to just find a button here. I'm glad all of you would have found it funny. I just don't know. I just don't know if she would have. Okay, so this is obviously a blurred image, and I'll decrease the blur gradually and see if you can work out who it is. I'll let you bang right there. Good to see people enjoying my humor. This is not Z. Oh, shit. Is it? I can't remember who it is now. It might be. I should have written this down. It's not Wayne Carey. It's not Simkin. No, I didn't go. Actually, I think it might be Zeeble. Frank the Tank. No, it is. Okay. Magic Door. Yeah, it is. It is Jack Z. So I did write these down, but not on this computer. So there you go. There you go. Jack Zeeble. The next one. Oh, it's going to make me do the whole edit thing again. Oh, no, I didn't want to do that. Shit. Just want to see if it... that's okay. We'll make it work. We'll make it work. Not Jamie Elliott. Picasso self-portrait? Not quite. Not Waite. Not Cripps. So I had it in here because of obviously Pommy being a blue. You're on the right team. Not Dale Thomas, not Mackay, not Wiedering. Seba got it. Cade Simpson. Cade Simpson it is. There we go. And the other one I don't think worked. So could have been Hewitt. I am a big Hewitt fan. There you go. So that were the games I had lined up to play with the crew on the Wednesday night, but we obviously didn't get a chance to do it, but that's okay. Remove that one. I did have a Gridley up we might do after as well, but yeah. So I am looking to, I've said this before, I am looking to upgrade the Cahoots program so we can have like a heap of people playing, because Cahoots actually do have built in it that tile removal thing, but on a timer. So you can just upload a photo and then it sort of does it automatically, which would be, I think they'll be really good games to play. I've just got to get the right package that can allow like 50 to 100 people to play instead of 10, because that seemed kind of pointless having 10. And that way we can sort of look up other quizzes as well. I'll share screen and we'll do a, can I just change that? I've got a Gridley open. Is it Gridley? Yeah, it's Gridley. Let's forget which one I'm doing. So for that, I'm sure everyone's played Gridley before, surely. But it's a finals based one. So 150 plus games for the same club. So for Brisbane, 150 games for the same club, but won at least one finals game at the MCG. Birdman stoked for Snoop Dogg. Very good. Yeah, I think you'll be okay. Should make a fishing shirt of Big Footy Tigercast. So who's played 150 games but won at least one final at the MCG? Who would be the most? Got to be better than the Meatloaf? Definitely does. But has to have played for Brisbane as well. Placed one game for Brisbane. Lockie Neal will have. Brent Ellis didn't play for Brisbane. Have we any other players? Andrew Ains wouldn't have played enough. Alistair Lynch. The low played for Brisbane. Jaden Short for top middle was top middle from a rare. We'll try Alistair Lynch. Nope. Why is that coming up? 2%, not bad. We'll take 2% for Alistair Lynch. 150 games, same club, won a final MCG. Well, someone said Jaden Short, so we'll go with Shorty if that got a rare. 0.2%. Nice. 150 games, same club, 3 prelim finals. I mean, we can pick anyone from Camden McIntosh. That's a good shout. We'll go Camden. 0.5%. I'd love for Cappy. The Big O teammate plays for Brisbane. I mean, do you go like a Revel? I'm trying to think of someone really obscure. Who's an obscure teammate for the Big O? Ty Gallop. Don't mind that one, actually. Ty Gallop. 4%. Jeez, I feel robbed of 4%. And Big Oscar McEnany teammate won an MCG final. And a Big O teammate. Did Mitch Robinson win an MCG final? And did he play with the Big O? Devin Robinson, did he play with the Big O? Lockie Neal. Trying to think of players who have been traded there that might be a bit more. Jack Crisp. Hawk Tim seems pretty confident on Devin Robertson. Oh, wait. I spelled that wrong. 1%. Nice. Good one. Oscar McEnany teammates with 3+ prelim finals. Is it played or won? Played in. So they don't have to have won one. Yeah, good shout on Jake Gunston there. 4%. Safe, but I like it. 195 centimeters or taller, play for Brisbane. 195. I mean, Charlie Cameron's want to be 195. What was Daniel Bradshaw? Was he 195 centimeters or taller? Yeah, Fort. Who else have they had? There's like Daniel Merritt was how tall was he? Clark Keating, that's a good one. That's a good one. I was trying to think of some of their big ruckmen. 5%. God damn. That's annoying. 195 centimeters or taller, won an MCG final. Ivan Soldo won an MCG final. Thinking we go. I reckon Soldo will be rarer than. .9% will take Ivan Soldo. Very good. 195 centimeters or taller, 3+ prelims. Oh, I'm trying to think of like other teams. Just like Nick Rewalt, did they play in 3 prelims? Or Justin Kaczynski, did St Kilda ever play in 3 prelims? I'm not sure they did or not. Tarrant, Collingwood, Danaher. Who else? What other teams we got in prelims? Did Brad Ottens play in 3 prelims? Mark Blitzarves. Oh, that's not a bad one. Well, 3%. That's not too bad. 19.9%. We'll take that. Wait, what's that stat? Play scores. Very good. Very good. Oh, bit of fun. Don't mind doing those little types of quizzes, something a little bit different. So maybe we'll do them a bit more often. I do want to try and get the quiz stuff up and running, especially for the off season, because things do get a bit quiet from time to time. Obviously, we've got draft and trade and things like that that's happening. There is going to be a few more shows coming up as well. There's going to be, who have we got? I'm going to try and go through my phone and work out I probably can't even work it out quick enough, but there's going to be a few different other draft shows coming up just to get some different perspectives, because there's so many different ways it could fall. So we should see a bit more of that happening. Trade stuff, I think Tiggs and I will do another one down the track. And again, like, I appreciate all the love and support we get for those types of shows. I'm very mindful that it's not everyone's cup of tea. A lot of people don't want to believe that people can hear certain things that are true about player movements. And, people sometimes walk away disappointed or upset because they didn't hear an A-grade name, but it's not what it's about. Like, we could always, anyone could jump on and make up a bullshit A-grade name that we're chasing just for the sake of it, but that's just not what Tiggs does. It's just always about, he'll pass on what he hears, like he did with Will Brodie and Sardis. Even though no one liked him, it sort of come out that they were on the move. Then Laddams, he mentioned Laddams, and I haven't thought of Laddams for bloody years, if at all. And it comes out he's on the move as well. So what he hears is usually good. Doesn't always mean it's coming to us or whatever. But yeah, we'll do a bit more of that as the weeks get on. Yeah, where are they getting this coin from? St Kilda offering $900K for 5 years for Sam Flanders. And the Bombers plan to offer more. Really? Wow. Okay. I know you can bank salary cap space, but they must have banked a shitload. I don't know what the math is on this, but they are spending a lot on a small segment of players. And it makes you wonder how it's going to go down the track when their current players will be like, oh, okay, where's our slice of coin for hanging around for a while, getting through the shit times? I can respect the hustle for St Kilda going after these players. If it backfires, though, it's going to cripple them. I don't mind Flanders. I'm not sure if I'd want him for $900K, but I guess you got to pay up when they're contracted. That's just how it works. Was Lawler? Oh, he wasn't too. He was a punt row too. It's so good. I agree, Jacob. It's so good to see. From StatChat, name 2 current Richmond players that have scored a total of 3 goals in grand finals. 2 players that have scored 3 goals. Jack Graham scored 3 goals in the grand final. And Dustin Martin, would he be one? Yeah, he'd be one. He did in Brisbane against Geelong. Oh, wait, 2 current. If I read the question right. Name 2 current Richmond players that have scored a total of 3 goals in grand finals. 2 current Richmond players that have scored a total of 3 goals. Is it Taranto? Oh, Lynch. did Presty and Nate? Did Presty get 3, did he? Oh, damn. It can be sometimes hard to remember all the stats and what we did in the grand finals. In grand final week, how many people in chat go back and rewatch the grand finals that we had? I haven't watched one for a little while, to be honest. If it was to pop on the TV, I'd watch it. But how many people go back and actively put the grand finals on to watch? Does it happen all that often? It's always a nice little reminder. And what's everyone thinking for the game tomorrow? Who's everyone's tip? Give us your tip. First goal kicker, Norm Smith medalist, all that kind of stuff. It's a really interesting one because there's a part of me that doesn't want Brisbane to win because I do like us being the most recent team to go back to back being intact. Because I think, even to this day, people still try and discredit our premierships, saying they were easy and it wasn't a real competition back then. What a load of shit. If anything, it's proven in recent memory or recent times that grand finals are really hard to win, and we were super good at doing it. So I think Geelong will win tomorrow by 24 points. I'm going to go Zach Bailey for first goal, and I reckon that Max Holmes might get the Norm Smith. Seb has gone Brisbane by 15. First goal, Cameron. Norm Smith will Ashcroft. Cameron needs to have a big game. He's had not a good final series, and I feel like there's a lot of pressure on him. And he might rise to the occasion. What does everyone think about as well the goal songs being played after the goals for the grand final? I think I know where the comments will go for that one, but keen to hear thoughts there. Up the storm, how are you, Herbert? What's going on, mate? Yes, they playing the songs after goals. Very interesting. Hawk Tim, Geelong win. Logan Morris first goal. Ollie Dempsey, normally not bad. How good was his bloody soccer goal? Crazy. Paul, Brisbane by 17. Zorko, Norm Smith. Zorko's a good shout. You cannot let Zorko go unopposed and get 700 metres gained again. It's just crazy that teams let him do that. Solar, Cats by 11. First goal, Zach Bailey, Norm, Tom Atkins. Interesting. Brisbane by 20, says Lettuce. Lions by 32. No, you won't have to repeat your text. That's okay, Grok. That's okay. Have a feeling major upset. Oh, and Brisbane smashing Geelong. Wow. A lot of people aren't fans of the goal songs. Brisbane by 28. Lions by 15. Wilmot for Normie. Stengel for first goal. Yeah, it's the goal songs. So they were playing him today at the training session at the G, which I didn't mind. I thought it added a bit of atmosphere. I am really surprised they are doing it for a grand final for goals being kicked, though, to be honest. But, that is really interesting. Herbert, Geelong win, unfortunately. Holmes, Norm Smith, and all 60 multis. Oh, yeah, no, that's right. The multis are either over by quarter time or you'll miss it by one leg on the siren, one of the two. Geelong, Bailey Smith, Norm, Shannon Neal, first goal. Should be a good game. We've got Snoop Dogg doing his thing as well. It's all happening. Paul Boyd, Norm Smith, Nick Dacos will somehow jag a Norm Smith. And then we'll obviously just all be keeping an eye out for the 100-metre sprint. Hopefully Morris Jr. can get a win for the day for Richmond supporters. But no, that'll be just about a wrap for tonight because I do have to do some editing and make some shorts from the Wednesday night show and get some stuff ready for tomorrow. But have a wonderful grand final day tomorrow, everybody, wherever you're watching, whether it's a barbecue or if you're working, have fun doing that too, or whatever it might be. Stay safe and all that kind of stuff. Matt Rao, 3 votes, Matt Rao. Yeah, very good. Enjoy the grand final tomorrow, folks. Hopefully it's a close game and we get to see a pretty good contest. And good luck to Morris Rioli tomorrow for the halftime sprint. Hopefully he gets the job done. I wouldn't mind seeing a Morris tackle in the grand final sprint. That would be good. And I actually always see people question, why don't they have the players bouncing the ball in the 100-metre sprint? I really like that idea. Let's make it applicable to football, and you've got to run and bounce for the 100-metre sprint. I actually really like that idea. So, hard-rated orange on the desk ready to go. Very nice. At the live site today, there was actually a Brookvale Union van, and it's probably lucky I didn't have my wallet on me because I would have gone over there and spent a small fortune. But, yeah, I might have to pick one up for tomorrow. So, Have a wonderful night, everybody. Have a good grand final tomorrow. I'm sure there'll be other videos popping out over the coming days with draft stuff and things like that. So make sure you get around it. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube as we track towards 4,000 subs. Plenty happening. And yeah, I will see you early next week. So until then, go Tigers.